Today we are going to study bronchial asthma. As we all know, it is one of the diseases which is affecting a large number of the population in the world as well as in India. Now we will discuss how bronchial asthma can be defined. It's an increased responsiveness of the tracheobronchial tree to wide varieties of the stimuli, which will lead to widespread narrowing of the air passages. Okay, the air passages, the alveoli, the bronchial tree, the bronchial tubes, all are being narrowed. The widespread narrowing is observed, which may be relieved spontaneously or majority time it requires to take medicine. So this is basically a disease of air passage obstruction, and clinically we can identify or observe it in the patient by the symptoms of wheezing, there is a chest tightness and cough. So this is a triad of the symptoms. Symptoms wise, we will feel the patient always gives the symptomatology like he feels the chest tightness, there is a cough variant is there, and as well as patient feel the wheeze. Patient, even the relatives or the persons nearby the patients also sometimes heard the wheeze. The wheeze is heard on auscultation, which is a confirmatory. Okay, it is a confirmatory diagnostic sign for bronchial asthma. So basically it's a syndrome of variable airflow obstruction. Now, what is the pathophysiology behind the asthma? As we know, it's a chronic inflammatory disease. Okay, it's a chronic disease by per se. It is always a chronic disease. There may be an acute exacerbation of a chronic disease. Okay, whenever a patient comes to us, there is a chance that we are dealing or what we are seeing in the patient is an acute exacerbation of a chronic condition what he is having maybe since years or months together. So first it is a chronic inflammation. So the inflammatory changes has been taken place into the bronchial tree. The whole of the bronchial tree has developed the inflammatory changes, which leads to the edematous condition of the mucous membranes. So gradually what happens over a period of time, there is collection of large number of the mucus. The mucus plug get filled into the alveolar spaces. So the alveolar spaces which are meant to have air inside them, it's been filled with the mucus plugs. The mucus plug may be thick, may be watery, may be thin in the consistency, but it is having lack of air. So gradually what happens, there is tightening, there is inflammatory processes takes place in the mucous membrane of the respiratory tract, right from the terminal bronchial to the alveoli. So gradually the thickening of the mucous membrane happens. There is collection of the mucus plug inside the alveoli, which leads to incompetence of the air spaces. So the air inside the alveoli is less compared to the mucus. So gradually there is narrowing happens. The lumen of the mucous membrane and the lumen of the alveoli now gradually becomes less, and there is tightening happens. The air filled as if it is trapped. Okay, it feels as if trapped. It has to forcefully expire. The inspiration is done, but the expiration process has been done forcefully. So it is a filling of a trapped air inside the lung cavity. So the narrowing of the lumen leads to your increased pressure. The respiratory pressure also increases. So patient has to do forceful expiration. There is, as there is collection of the large amount of the mucus, and which leads to over a long period of time in the narrowing of the all of the terminal bronchioles, the widespread narrowing. The definition which says just like that there is widespread narrowing. It may be observed in one lung or maybe bilateral. The symptoms can be observed in bilateral or one lung or one of the lobes of one lung or maybe many lobes of the lungs. It depends upon the chronicity of the disease. Here we can clearly see the difference between the normal tracheobronchial tube, the patient of asthma, and during the stage of status asthmaticus. How the lumen of the tracheobronchial tube looks. In normal condition, the lumen is wide. There is no closure, there is no gasping, there is no trapping of the air inside. But as the disease advances, gradually the chronic inflammatory processes takes place and the lumen goes into the stage of narrowing. As you can see in the clip that there is narrowing. The lumen gradually takes place a small diameter, so there is air being trapped. And during the stages of status asthmaticus, when there is acute attack of chronic exacerbation, during that stage the air gets trapped. Here you can see the smooth muscles of the lung parenchyma. The lung parenchyma goes into the stage of tightness, the narrowing, there is increased respiratory pressure. So what ultimately happens? The lumens all which is already narrowed down due to the chronic effect of the disease again goes into the stage of minute opening. So the collection of the mucus is increased, there is increased respiratory pressure, the tightness happened, the smooth muscles goes into the stage of contraction, there is less of relaxation, so patient feels the complete absence of respiratory air. The air entry is prevented. The classification of asthma. We usually classify asthma into three different types. The first one is the extrinsic type of asthma, which is also called as allergic or atopic type. The other one is intrinsic type, which is considered as non-atopic or even the idiosyncratic. The third one, there are chances that patients are having the mixed reaction. They are having the extrinsic variant also and intrinsic variant also. So mixed variety is also seen in the population. But 70% or more than 70% of the asthma are of the extrinsic type. Here we usually see that the patient are having or the it was observed that majority of the patients who are having extrinsic type of asthma is elevated IgE level. So it's a type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. So large number of the stimulus or allergens has been found out to lead to this kind of extrinsic asthma. Here, those patients are even having the past history of the same condition or any of the other diseases where allergy is the etiology behind that. So, hypersensitivity reaction is already observed in such patients. Even the age group of this extrinsic type of asthma is usually seen in the childhood. Early childhood patients are majority having extrinsic asthma, while intrinsic asthma are usually seen like 30% or around 30% cases are usually found in the adulthood. They are not having any kind of past history or even the family history of having the asthma, but in the adulthood they develop the symptomatology of asthma, the wheezing, the breathlessness. The cause are usually the infection. A long chronic repeated infection usually leads to an intrinsic variety of the asthma. There are causes like idiopathic, which is the cause are unknown, but patient develops even if without having IgE elevated. These are the cases where you won't find the in laboratory investigation, the IgE won't be elevated. They are within the normal range, but patient is coming with the stages of asthma. So intrinsic and extrinsic is the basic way of classification of asthma. Apart from that, in large population, we get some amount of patient which shows you mixed variety, where there is childhood allergy of some of the conditions. It may be a skin reaction, it may be any kind of allergy. Along with that, in the adulthood, the same patients develop the symptoms of asthma. Going into the details of Types of asthma. The first one is the extrinsic type. This type is also called as childhood asthma. The reason behind naming like that is because it is seen majority time in the children. The early age group is prone to develop this kind of extrinsic asthma where there is always a history of any allergen, there is personal history that patient has already been having these episodes of asthma. Even if an adult comes to you for consultation of asthma case, you will find that in past history that particular person is having asthma even in the childhood, early childhood, maybe at the age of 1 year, 2 year. So you have, while interrogating the patient or while case taking, you have to go into the details while taking the case, because this is a chronic disease. It's a chronic disease. You have to find out how the disease has been evaluated and how the patient has come to up to this stage. So extrinsic variety of asthma, the positive findings that there is always a past history of the similar complaint into the patient. You will also find that there is a positive history in the family as well of asthma, his parents or grandparents, or even in the cousins. So maternal, paternal, family history, you have to evaluate, you have to ask in detail, because it was always a positive family history of asthmatic cases. Apart from that, you have to also inquire, or we can say we find a positive finding that patient is having allergen to various stimuli. The allergens may be wide variety. It may be allergy to food, it may be allergy to some of the smells, some of the things, colors, pollens. So large variety of the allergens are positive. Patient is very much allergic to these cases. In these cases, you will find there is a history of skin allergies. There may be a history of eczema, there may be a history of psoriasis, or there always a positive history. Any kind of skin infections are there. And sometimes you will even observe that these patients are being treated by topical ointments or external applications, even internal medications to deal with the skin complaints. So these skin allergies are being treated with topical application or internal medication, and now what you are seeing a exaggerated form of a chronic disease in the form of bronchial asthma. So you have to, while case taking, you have to examine the patient in detail while examining or while taking the case of past history. Go into the detail, find out right from his childhood whether patient has been exposed to such similar disease or if there is any history of skin allergies. You will find a positive history of skin disease and being treated. There are chances that these patients are having elevated IgE. You will always find whenever you go and get the lab investigation get done of these patients, you will find the IgE level is being elevated. This patient, the specific findings what is observed that these patients are not sensitive to the drugs. Okay, they are not sensitive to drugs, but they are sensitive to pollens or house dust, even the smells, the flowers, the flora, the strong smelling aromatic fumes. Patients are very much sensitive to that. A smell which is strong aromatic at a distance also can affect the patients. You will find these patients having particularly complaints when the pollens are growing. The pollens, the season where the pollens are more, the patients develop asthmatic attacks more. So these patients, even their pets, okay, if any of your patient is having pets at home, the fur also can create allergy to your patient. This kind of patients having the attacks at a intermittent. Okay, the clinical manifestation you will find that there is a pause, a asymptomatic phase in that. Afterwards, again an acute exacerbation. So there is, you will find an intermittency in the clinical presentation, but these patients are always being a chronic one. In these patients, usually the extrinsic variety particularly, you won't find the associated respiratory disease. Like if a patient is having bronchitis as well as or some other respiratory disease like pneumonia or any other complaints, very severe pathological changes has been taken place. As those gross pathological changes are usually you won't find in the extrinsic variety. So the points here, the it is seen in the childhood, there is a positive personal history, there is a positive family history, there is a positive allergic reactions. You will find in history that there is skin reactions are present or patient is allergic to some of the irritants or some of the pollens like stimulus. You will find that these patients are having an acute exacerbation, but they are self-limiting. They are having acute episodes, but they are getting self-limited. It's assessed like within short duration they goes on its own, while in intrinsic variety, it is totally opposite. In intrinsic variety, you will find it is usually found in the adulthood. There are no personal history. Like it may be a first episode for the patient where he has come for the consultation. You won't find there is always any history earlier of the same kind of attack. There may be no family history. The family history is absolutely absent of the bronchial asthma. Even the patient is not having any kind of history of allergy. No respiratory allergy, no skin allergy, no allergy to any stimulus like pollens or house dust or mites or fomites. So patient is not having the IgE elevated. Here you will find that the IgE level, the immunoglobulin levels will be within the normal range. You won't find the laboratory investigation positive in such cases. Here, majority times what you will find that the occupational hazards will be positive, the drug sensitivity will be positive. There are cases which are having sensitivity to the aspirin. The aspirin which was widespread used earlier as a over-the-counter drug. It has been used for complaints for even headache. A simple headache is also being treated with aspirin-like drug, which is a which leads to development of asthma in a long period. The drugs which are used for hypertension, the beta blockers particularly, these beta blockers also leads to development of asthma. So you will find in these patients, the patients of intrinsic variety, that there is history of hypertension, there is history that patients are being treated for aspirin, okay, or though these kind of patients are even given are treated or has been taken themselves the drugs which are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs as a painkiller for any of the joint complaints or any of the complaints where they require to take this kind of anti-inflammatory drug which are non-steroidal in nature. So while history taking in past history, you will identify that these patients are taking these drugs over a long period of time. Even some females, even in the reproductive age. In the reproductive age, if the patients are given, female patients are given the estrogen therapy, few of the females are being sensitive to this estrogen and develops asthma. So here the etiology was the estrogen hormones which are given synthetically to the patients. So first you have to deal with that, then only your asthma is going to be cured. So drug history is always positive in these intrinsic varieties of the patient. Here you won't find any kind of allergic history. Here the symptomatology or the clinical presentation is different. Here you will find a very fulminant and severe attack. The patient usually comes into the stage of status asthmaticus where the chest is absolutely silent. where the air entry is prevented. So, intrinsic variety of asthma, there is persistent attacks. The patient will say that he is developing attacks recurrently. There is more recurrency of the attacks in intrinsic variety in the adulthood. Here, the patient is already having some kind of respiratory disease. So along with asthma, these patients may be having bronchitis, may be having pneumonia or tuberculosis. So this, along with bronchial asthma, the respiratory diseases are also prevalent in these cases. The drug history is very much positive in these cases. The patient having a allergic patient is the inducers of the asthma. The first one to discuss here is the varieties of the infection, the respiratory infection particularly. As in India, we have tuberculosis as a disease as well as the gram-positive bacteria, the staphylococcus, the streptococcus, the pneumococcus, the respiratory infection related to that are very much widely prevalent. And in children, it has been observed particularly that these children comes with repeated respiratory diseases, recurrent history of cough, recurrent history of sinusitis, recurrent history of rhinitis over a period of time leads to the airflow limitations. So a simple chronic cough or a simple case of bronchitis in the early childhood usually comes with the a full grown bronchial asthma cases in the adulthood. Our geographic pattern, we are having the large number of the tubercular patients particularly. So they are having a history that a tuberculosis positive patient, there are chances comes with the a history or a full growth bronchial asthmatic cases. The other etiological factors, the smoking. Here, the smoking can be active as well as the passive. The active smokers obviously at a high risk. Those smokers which are smoking since many years, they are having the history of smoking for a long run. They are definitely at a high risk to develop bronchial asthma because the mucus lining of the respiratory tract has been already eroded. It has been already affected. The inflammatory changes, the changes in the mucus lining has already been taken place due to the smoke. And the passive smokers, the smokers who just inhale the smokes, okay, they are the passive smokers. They are also at a high risk. So smoking is one of the major etiology in developing the bronchial asthma. It has been observed that in childhood, if you whenever you inquire a case of a small child, if both the parents are smokers, then the child is also at a high risk. Even during pregnancy, if the mother is smoking, if she has not left the habit of smoking and the child has been exposed to the smoke after birth, then the child used to develop, or there is evidence that within the 2 years of the lifespan of the child, he developed bronchial asthma. So the immunity of that particular child who is been exposed to the smoke from both the parents or either of the parents due to close proximity, being a passive smoker, still the child is more susceptible to develop a bronchial asthma. Apart from there, the allergens. The allergens can be inhalants as well as ingestants. The commonest inhalants are the pollens, the house dust. House dust is majority times plays the role in exaggerating the attacks. Whenever there is exposure of a dust, there are acute exacerbation of a chronic complaints. The mites, a dusty, humid places where the mites has been developed, the feathers of pets, the fur of the pets is also a very much triggering factor to the known cases of asthma. These acts as an exciting causes for them. The paints. the various kinds of paints, the aroma of those particular paints also plays a role in inducing the asthmatic attack. They are having volatile vapors. The vapors of those particular paints leads to development of an asthmatic attack. The smoke of various chemicals, the chemical factories, the smoke comes out of this chemical factories also leads to allergic episodes and leads to asthma. These inhalants in demographic, in our Indian demographic, the house dust play a major role. 80% of the cases are having this kind of allergy. Apart from that, in ingestants, the lactose intolerance, milk allergy, the lactose intolerance leads to development of an acute attack. With that, few patients also are very much sensitive to the eggs, the proteins of the eggs, the albumin, the protein, the egg white, they are sensitive to the proteins of that. So egg also leads to a allergic reaction. The nuts, the ground nuts, the particular peanut, patients are found to be allergic to that. Few are also allergic to chocolates. The in non-vegetarian diet, the fish, the shellfish, particularly the shellfish, they are found to be allergen to that. Along with that, few patients are even found to be sensitive to berries. Various kinds of berries are there. Few patients are found to be particularly sensitive to strawberries. For that, you have to go get the allergic test done. There are a large number of the stimulus are given to the patients and the allergic test are being conducted. So allergens play a major role for the development of asthma. They act as an exciting causes, the triggering factors. Along with that, sometimes it has been observed that those patients who are having a history of or those patients who are having the disease of gastroesophageal reflux, they are also develop asthma as a disease. The acute attacks they develop and leads to a chronic stage. So GERD also coming up with a major role in inducing the asthma. Another variant of inducing is the cough variant asthma. It is called as CVA. Cough variant asthma, which is seen majority times in the childhood. In the children, it is very much common where cough is the presenting symptom. Usually in the cases of asthma, the wheezing, the breathlessness, the difficulty in breathing is the symptom which leads the patient to come to hospital or rush to a doctor. But in cough variant asthma, which is usually seen in the children, the cough, continuous paroxysm of difficult cough, which is dry in nature, is the symptom which leads to rush to the hospital. Here, the patient is not having the productive cough. You won't find the sputum here. The mucus plugs are not there, but patient will complain of continuous kind of dry cough, which is hoarse, barking kind of cough. And there is very much scanty sputum, and even if the sputum is there, it is produced with a lot of difficulty. So this cough variant asthma is also covering large number of the patients, particularly in the childhood, where you won't find the typical symptoms of breathlessness. While the allergic, whenever the exposure to allergens are there, the first symptom will be breathlessness. A cough leading to breathlessness in a faster phase will be found in the allergen etiology. The next is smoking and infection. It covers the rest of the all the cases. So all this together leads as an exciting causes or inducing of an asthmatic attack. The triggers of the asthma. There are certain things which triggers the acute attacks. The first one among that is the night and the early morning diurnal variations. Usually night means post midnight. After 12 in the night, there is the dew component plays the role. The mostly the attacks are seen at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Here during that time the atmospheric moisture, the dew is more, the atmospheric moisture is more. So what happens? There is spasm develops in the respiratory bronchial tree. Your alveoli goes into the spasm as there is collection of the mucus increases in the alveoli. As the content of or the moisture content of the atmosphere increases, the patient complains more. The same is observed during the rainy season. As during the rainy season, the moisture is more, the dampness, the humidity is more, you will find that patients are getting more and more complaints of acute asthmatic attack. During that time, there is spasm develops in the respiratory alveoli, which is continued for a very longer time. So this particular time, that is in 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning, as well as the midnight, post midnight, you will get an aggravating factor. So in case taking, you have to give importance to the time modality, which plays a very much most important role when we are dealing with the modalities. The next is the exercise. Exercise means the any of the physical exercise, physical exertion. It may be a jog, may be a brisk walking, it may be running or even the climbing stairs. Whenever a person perform a physical exercise, there is tachycardia, the heart has to pump more, it has to beat more, there is comparatively tachypnea develops. In this condition, wherever the tachypnea is there, hyperventilation happens. In hyperventilation, there is the oxygen is washed out and there is collection of CO2. As any of the physical exercise leads to collection of the lactic acid. As the BMR increases, the metabolic rate increases. So hyperventilation happens and PO2 of an individual is decreasing. This leads to an sudden acute attack. So any kind of physical exercise, mostly where the vigorous exercise is conducted. A simple walk on a flat surface doesn't give a major complaint to the patient. If he is walking smoothly without any much vigorous brisk walking or jogging, he doesn't develop any kind of complaint. But the moment the patient start running or start jogging or there is brisk walking, patient immediately develops the complaints. So physical exercise in the form leads to hyperventilation, decrease in the PO2 level and increase in the PCO2 level, which leads to acute attack. The next triggering factor what we usually found is the various kinds of emotions and stress. Emotions can be anything, it can be a joy or it can be a sorrow. Sometimes excessive laughing also leads to development of an acute attack. Sometimes in age, according to the age, you will find there is difference in various emotions. Like in the childhood, it is usually seen that crying for a continuous, for longer time, even for angry regarding some particular thing, as it is observed in children who are very much irritable, who are very much haughty or obstinate to get some particular thing or who wants their family members to be with them all the time, who are cranky in nature, who are very much sensitive in nature, also develops asthmatic attack, and it is very well proved. There are instances as the age advances, the etiology may differ, but usually the effects of those etiology, like disappointment, as you go with the pubertal age, the disappointment, the change in the hormonal levels leads to various mood changing, change in the atmosphere, the career, the emotions which is developing in the particular pubertal age. So all these leads to anxiety level, which again leads to increase in the acute asthmatic attacks. As in the adolescent, the shift of an individual leads to regarding the career, the goal of the life, the financial matters of the life, the supportive nature of an individual to a family. So during that time, if any setback is there, like any disappointment in the financial matter, regarding the career, or there is disappointment regarding the love affair, so such thing also leads to development of an acute attack, and patient come up with the history of bronchial asthma. This way, various panic disorders also are being diagnosed to have asthmatic attack. So those patients who are having a history of schizophrenia or any of the bipolar disorders are also known to have recurrency of asthma. So emotion and stress both plays a very much vital role in the development or triggering the asthma. Whenever we are doing the case taking, it is we have to inquire what any instances which was happened in the lifespan of an individual for the first time when the particular acute episode has been developed. So at that particular time, we can identify the causa occasionalis. So whether the mental trauma which has happened to the patient may has lead to physicalization of the complaint, we can come to know. So mental and emotions, the emotions and stress, the physical stress, mental stress, all may together leads to development of an acute episode of an chronic disease. Apart from that, the next thing which affects the individual are the various drugs which are compulsory for the patient to ingest. They have to take various drugs for some other systemic disease. Like for the hypertension, one has to take beta blockers. If the patient is having any history of stroke, he has to take the anticoagulants. Those female in the reproductive age, if they are on the contraception, they have to take the combination of the estrogen therapy. Apart from that, if the patient are having history of taking the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs for avoiding the steroidal drugs, then as a painkiller, these cases we have to deal with. These are the drugs which patient has to take for their other systemic disease, but they are the triggering factors for the bronchial asthma. In such cases, we have to find an alternative to the particular drug component. Like instead of taking beta blocker, patient can move or can change to some other drug component. If the patient has to take that particular drug, your case taking or your remedy should be like that, which can cover the effects of this particular drug and cover the totality. So some these drugs also are the triggering factors. Other things which affects the patients are the occupational exposure. If a person is working in a marshy place, if a person is working in a chemical factories, they are more prone to develop asthmatic attack. They are daily dealing with the chemical fumes. They are maybe handling few of the chemicals which are irritant to them. They may be developing irritant or allergic to that respiratory or skin allergy. So occupational hazards also or occupational exposure also leads to a development of acute attack. Those persons who are acting working in mines also are prone to develop because of the exposure to various forms of silica. So occupational exposure is one of the triggering factor for the development of asthmatic attack. The change in the atmosphere, that is very much common in India. Like we are having three main seasons. Majority time what we see that whenever the change of season is there, patients come with that an aggravating cause or they get an exciting attack. Whenever there is change from summer to monsoon, the humidity increases. As and when the monsoon increases, the humidity, the moisture content on that particular season increases, patient develops the acute episodes. Again, from the monsoon, when the winter settles, during that time, the exposure to cold or the cold change weather also leads to spasms. There is vasoconstriction due to exposure to cold, which again leads to increase in the respiratory pressure, which again leads to a chain of sequence happens in the inflammatory processes. So change of weather is again very much important etiological factor or triggering factor in identifying the cases of bronchial asthma. In foreign countries, means apart from India, where the majority time is of the winters, during that time they are developing frostbite kind of symptoms. In that condition also, it is observed that if the patient has been changed, the thermal modality or the surroundings if changed, those who are working continuously in the cold, if they take the vapors, the fumes, if they are exposed to some smoke, or if the surrounding is kept warm with the use of warmer or some other equipments, it is observed that the attacks of dyspnea, the attacks of sudden cough reduces. Patient develops a kind of strength or immunity, so they can delay the attacks. So using of vapors, using of inhalants, using of smokes in the form of drugs are advised for reducing the recurrent attack during the cold weather. In India, the season of the monsoon particularly, and in the winter, we get majority attacks being aggravated. Symptoms of asthma. It has been seen that prior to the actual attack of the asthma, there are few symptoms which are from some other systems. It is also called as premonitory symptoms or asthmatic aura. It may be symptoms like sneezing, maybe weeping, maybe drowsiness or restlessness. Here, the patient does not develop the actual symptoms of the asthma, like coughing or wheezing develop or the dyspnea. Here, patient will come up with some constitutional symptoms like there may be sneezing, there may be discharge from the nose, there are chances of some gastric discomfort, like patient may feel the tightness in the abdomen, there may be flatulence or there may be regurgitation. So such systemic symptom patient may come up. Patient feels to lie down, patient feels to sleep without any known reason. Not even the physical exertion is there, still patient feels to lie down. He even feels the restlessness, the anguish, the irritability developing in the patient. So these are the premonitory symptoms which are not found in the actual paroxysm. These are the symptoms which usually guide the patient that his normal day or his routine has been changing to developing an acute attack. So the patient of this chronic condition usually get an idea that maybe in an hour or two they are going to have an acute attack, so they get ready with the medicines or they make themselves comfortable to prevent the further development of an attack. Whenever the actual paroxysm of the bronchial asthma happens, that is during the acute attack, the first symptom is the oppression of the chest. The patient feels there is tightness of the chest or there is a sensation as if that somebody has clenched the chest with the tight hold. There is sensation as if the wire gauge is surrounded to the chest. He is not able to breathe completely. He is not able to complete his expiration. There is a sensation as if the chest is been clenched in a strong hands. So such symptoms are being felt by the patient. There is dyspnea, there is difficulty in breathing, patient has to breathe with difficulty. There is orthopnea, patient feels only better by bending forward or in the sitting posture. Patient is not able to lie down on the bed or not on the even on the sideways. Patient feels better only when he bend double up or in the sitting posture or whenever he is given the backrest. That is what is we call orthopnea. There is anxiety level increases in the patient. The patient feel restlessness, the mental restlessness as well as the physical restlessness. Patient feel fear of the disease. The patient get that anxiety level increases, that he is not able to breathe the completely. He is not able to breathe his respiration complete. That is why the patient feel anxious. He has always have the fear of death, whether the death is there. That those kind of thoughts comes into the mind of any of the individual who is having this acute attack. There may be cyanosis is also observed in the patients. Cold clammy extremity, the peripheral circulation is being deteriorated. Patient, whenever you examine the patient, you will find that the peripheral extremity, the lower limb are getting cold. The cyanosis is developed. So during this attack, all this physical as well as the mental picture of the patient you have to identify to reach out to the acute totality. So during paroxysm, all these changes are happen. This paroxysm can last for more than 1 minute to a 5 minute. If it is continuous for more time, then it leads to a stage of status asthmaticus, where there is completely absence of any of the air entry into the lungs. That time is the chest become completely silent. Means on auscultation you are not able to find or hear any of the air entry. This stage is where the oxygen supply is required continuously. Otherwise, patient may go into the stage of collapse. At this particular time may terminate spontaneously if the vasospasm, the bronchospasm is not much severe. Means if the patient is having developed this episode for recently, is not of a chronic stage reached now, there is no much history of this particular attacks, then there are chances, if the bronchospasm is not much severe, there are chances that it may terminate spontaneously, or there may be required to give a drug. The drugs can be in the form of nebulization, inhalation of the medicines, or there may be require of an intravenous drugs. Oxygen supply during that particular time has to be maintained. So oxygen supply as a part of treatment is mandatory in the stage of status asthmaticus. Whenever medicines are given, it may be given through oral route or through the intravenous. Usually, the nebulization are given in the form of bronchodilators, which will release the spasm which has occurred, and patient will feel good or able to breathe comfortably in a short duration. If the stage of status asthmaticus is there, intravenous administration of the drug as well as continuous oxygen supply is must. So termination of this particular attack may be possible with the help of medicine, or in the early stage of the disease only can be possible that it happens to be spontaneously. To reach to the diagnosis of an bronchial asthma, three components are very much important. First is the history of the patient, second is to know the functions of the lung, and the third, which are the investigations to be carried out. The first one, the history of the patient, is plays the major role. Here we should know the past history of the individual regarding the or history of bronchial asthma, as well as any of the history of any of the allergic conditions. Personal history of an individual, past history of an individual, as well as family history of an individual, whether there is history of bronchial asthma in the family or history of any of the allergic condition in the family. History taking plays a major role. The next is the knowing the functions of the lung, which is through the knowing the capacity, the lung capacity of an individual by performing the peak flow meter. The next is the investigation which are to be carried out. So, first and foremost, we have to examine the patient very much thoroughly. In examination, while inspecting, we can come to know that the inspiration is short and high pitch. Whenever we examine the patient, the expiration is prolonged. The wheeze is heard on the auscultation. This wheeze is the diagnostic sign for an bronchial asthmatic case. There is occasional crackles at the base of the lung when the end of the attack. You will find there is tachycardia as well as tachypnea. So these are the examination signs you have to perform. You have to inspect the chest of a person, you have to auscultate, you have to identify the wheeze, you have to feel the crackles at the base of the lungs, and in case the stage is very much severe, in severe cases there are chances that you will find a completely silent chest, as there is no wheeze, no crackles, no sound you will hear, no air entry is present. To know the lung capacity of an individual, one has to perform few of the objective assessment. Likewise, one of them is by using spirometer or peak flow meter. If spirometer is not available, you can use the peak flow meter. Peak flow meter is a very small instrument which is having various marking on it and attached with a mouthpiece. The individual who is suspected of being a case of bronchial asthma has to observe the peak flow meter monitoring in the morning and in the night for minimum of 3 weeks daily. Here, the individual has to sit with spine erect and with the mouthpiece of the pictometer in the mouth. He should not touch with the tongue and has to blow the air inside that. The markings are being identified. If there is difference between the readings of the peak more than 20% in the diurnal variation, that is in the morning and in the night, patient is told to be at the risk of developing asthma. The same readings are again taken after administration of the bronchodilator. And if the change is noticed that before administering of the bronchodilator medicine and after administering of the bronchodilator medicine, if the readings are changing, then it becomes a confirmatory. Likewise, bronchodilator response is measured with the help of lung capacity. The forceful ejection volume at 1 per second after administering the bronchodilator is identified. If it is found that it is changed before and after administration of the bronchodilator more than 20%, it is found to be continuous for 2 weeks, then patient is diagnosed as being having asthma. The same way it is also observed after administration of the corticosteroidal therapy. Patient is given corticosteroid for the treatment part. Here, if the patient is improving, like in the improvement of the forceful ejection volume per second, or there is improvement in the peak flow frequency, then patient is termed as having the asthma. To diagnose a case, you have to perform few of the investigation. The first one is the blood investigation, in which you have to perform that CBC plus ESR. In CBC, the findings will be always leukocytosis in cases of infection. Whenever you are expecting an infective pathology behind that, there is chances of leukocytosis. In that also, whenever the allergy component is there, you will find that there will be eosinophilia. Apart from that, you have to perform ESR. Like whenever you suspect a case which is of the chronic history, the ESR will be on the higher side. When blood investigation are completed, a brief idea you have got. After that, you can perform the sputum examination. In sputum examination also, you will find that there will be signs of eosinophilia will be present. The diagnostic feature of the sputum examination of a case of a bronchial asthma is the Crushman spiral. The Crushman spiral is a histopathological examination you have to perform, where a spiral mucus plugs will be identified. The next diagnostic sign is the Charcot-Leyden crystal. Charcot-Leyden crystals are found in the sputum of a patient who is having a bronchial asthma. It is having a crystal-like spikes in the shape of a diamond, which is clearly identified in the histopathology slides. If you are suspecting that there is a history of allergy, it may be skin allergy or respiratory allergy. If you are suspecting like that, you have to perform the allergic test. So various patch tests are available which you have to conduct. If you are suspecting that the allergy is the etiology behind that, or the patient is having the extrinsic type of asthma, you also have to perform the immunoglobulin test, in which IgA level will be found to be elevated. These two are specific to identify the extrinsic variety of the asthma. Furthermore, when you want to conduct the radiological examination, the X-ray is the most easiest and confirmatory diagnostic tool. Here you will find that there may be a segmental or the lobar collapse is present. Next you have to perform provocation test. These provocation tests are also called as exercise test. The person has to walk fast or has to climb few of the stairs, and then the FEV has to be calculated with the help of either peak flow meter or either with the help of spirometer. If there is fall in the FEV after 5 to 7 minutes of the vigorous walk, it is confirmatory that patient is having a asthma. The differential diagnosis of an bronchial asthma. The first and foremost is the COPD, that is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Here also the airway obstruction is the pathophysiology behind that. But COPD cases are never seen in the childhood. That is the most important differential point. Moreover, the pathophysiology behind that or the histopathology slides won't show the Crushman spiral or the Charcot-Leyden crystal, which are the diagnostic of the bronchial asthma. The next comes is the tropical eosinophilia. Though eosinophil count will increase in the cases of the extrinsic varieties of the bronchial asthma, but it will be having fever in cases of tropical eosinophilia. There may be history of fever, there will be history of weight loss, anorexia, the general amnesia, the general weakness, malaise, all those constitutional symptoms will be present in the cases of tropical eosinophilia, which you won't find in the cases of the typical bronchial asthma. The next is broncholithiosis. Here, the peribronchial exudate will be there. The peribronchial inflammatory exudate will be in the large amount in the cases of broncholithiosis. The next one is the cryptogenic pneumonia. Here, in the cryptogenic pneumonia, there may be affection of the both bronchioli and the lung parenchyma, which you won't find in the cases of bronchial asthma. So, bronchial asthma, the confirmatory diagnosis is based mostly on the triad of the history, the lung capacity, that is the lung function test, and finally the lab investigation. In lab investigation also, first and foremost is the blood count, then go for the sputum examination and the X-ray chest.